Podcast. My name's Claire.
I'm Paul.
And thank you for tuning in. So over the last couple of weeks, we've actually had a real surge in listeners. So thank you guys for tuning in. And I think a lot of that is down to our recent guest, Robbie Knox.
Robbie Stories, Dan Stories as well.
Dan Trophy, yeah. So here's a bit of a fact. So Robbie was our top performing podcast. And then Robbie and Dan took that over. And then, so Robbie was number one. He overtook himself. And then
you put a bit of a challenge out, didn't you?
Yeah. And then Robbie went back to the top. So Robbie replaced himself at the top.
Can you replace yourself at the top?
Yeah. And then number three, interestingly enough, is Honor May, who was our second guest on the show and has an amazing story to tell. So if you've not listened to Honor or Robbie or Dan, then get listening. And I'm thinking today's guest is definitely in the running to take any of those spots.
He answered the challenge.
He answered the challenge. So, who's today's guest, Paul? It's the one and only Max Fosh.
Hello, guys.
Welcome.
Hello.
Bit of competitive podcasting. I like it.
Yeah, I think you can get to number one, you know.
Oh, God, no, don't say that. No, if I don't, I'll be absolutely livid with myself.
We need an angle somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you should play it quickly. Before you should play that jingle, because that was actually, I think Robbie talked a lot about music on his podcast, but that jingle was written by my year 5 saxophone teacher as part of the channel. When I was first starting out, I needed a jingle, and I was still friends on Facebook with one of my old teachers. He used to be my saxophone teacher, and he was always really keen and really interested in what I was up to. And then I said, "Do you have any can you write music for me?" He was like, "Yeah, sure. What you after?" And so after about back and forth about 5 emails, that was the result. It's been immortalised on the channel.
I hope you signed a release form for it.
Yeah, I did. I hope he's not going to come after me for litigation.
Yeah, exactly. So you're a fan of Robbie and Dan then?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I don't know much about Dan. I've been a fan of Robbie for a while. It's kind of the YouTube sphere. It's kind of this kind of very incestuous relationship friendship group that everyone knows everybody and everyone kind of collaborates with everyone. So I've had the pleasure of walking with Robbie Knox a few times. So yeah, lovely, lovely man.
And the Happy Hour podcast as well.
Of course, yeah.
In terms of that. So we describe those guys as YouTubers. Is YouTuber the right way to describe you?
I think, yeah, it's the description that I like. I really hate influencer. Absolutely despise it. Because I feel, first of all, I haven't been to Dubai in years. And secondly, I just don't, maybe I'm just kind of being naive, but I honestly don't think I could influence anybody to do anything. If I just suddenly started promoting some skincare on my Instagram stories, people would honestly tell me to jog on. So yeah, YouTuber is a nice way of doing it. For kind of like my mum's friends, my mum and dad's friends, I'm more of a content creator because it's a scary enough word for them not to ask any more questions. So that's how I get out of that. But yeah, YouTuber is a great description.
Yeah. So you're not kind of selling out. You're just creating your own stuff and having a load of fun around it.
Yeah, just doing what I like.
So how long have you actually been making videos?
I have been making, the first time I made a video, I think I was probably 13 or 14. And I had an older sister who I just absolutely adored and thought was the coolest person on planet Earth. And she had this.
I've seen her in your videos.
Yeah, she's popped up a few times in the videos. She's absolutely great. But when I was growing up, she was kind of like my idol. And she had a birthday party that my mum basically, because it was at our house, I was forced to be invited to the birthday party. So I just got very excited. And I just basically took loads of pictures and then made I think it was honestly made on PowerPoint, but a PowerPoint slideshow of all of the guests at the party. And that was kind of my first video. I remember spending hours on it. I'm not sure how I could have spent hours on it when it was a PowerPoint presentation, but I did. And
there is definitely ways you can spend hours on PowerPoint.
I was getting all of the intros, all the effects. So that was the first, I think that was the first time I ever used a computer to make a video. And that was probably when I was 13 or 14, so 2009. But I've been doing YouTube probably since September 2017, so kind of 3.5 years now.
Yeah, we've spoken to quite a few YouTubers on our podcast, and I think the general thing is you've just got to keep at it, haven't you? So don't expect instant success. Don't expect hundreds of thousands of subscribers. You've just got to keep going really until you kind of build up a back catalogue. Is that how you found your career's gone so far?
100%. I mean, because social media, to get very serious and technical about social media, I feel that social media, because it's a platform where you can literally type in anything and watch a video about literally anything within the few clicks of a button, that immediacy kind of people associate with kind of work on YouTube as well. So they assume that being a content creator, that immediacy is exactly the same. So all it needs is just uploading a video and then you're ready to go. When in fact, you need to, first of all, you need to learn what you're doing. You need to learn how to kind of make an audience want to watch a video. So yeah, I think it does take a while, and it just takes constant uploading. And mainly the reason for that is because you then understand what is good and what is not and what people want to watch. I think that's the main thing, because people spend so much time on a video. There's this kind of ego thing where it's like, well, I spent loads of time making this, therefore loads of people should watch it because I spent ages on it. When in actuality, people don't really care about you. So you've kind of got to make something that people want to watch. So I think that does take a while to understand as a concept.
Yeah.
Do you fall into that category of people that get a little bit sort of downtrodden if like, your current video is like, 10 of 10?
Oh no, not the 10
or
of 10.
Do you just not care? Or...
No, I would love to sit here and just be really kind of like cool. Nah, Paul, I don't care. What? You can see the analytics? No, but I have to say I really do care, and it is something that I hate about YouTube, and I hate about that element of it is a major part of the job. Not just kind of from a vanity point of view, but just to find out what works and for you to keep growing your quote unquote business. So yeah, it really does hurt, because especially when you're making a video, you spend so much time on it. So every video I make, I think is the best video I've ever done. But only after a couple of months can I step back and think, that was a bad decision. Why did I make that? And so that's happened on a few occasions. But no, I do find myself looking at YouTube Studio pretty quickly after the video's gone up to see where it's placing, unfortunately.
There's got to be a level of like complete angst, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And no matter how many times you can say like, oh, it doesn't matter, release from the process. Like, do you know what? The video's up. It doesn't matter what happens. Like, you can say that until the cows come home. But honestly, I am like a rabbit with the little kind of cocaine button. I want to know more.
Just out of interest, how many subscribers do you have, just to raise that anxiety level a little bit?
Claire, thank you so much. I have I've got 350,000 700 when we are recording this. I'm sure it's going to go down in the next couple of weeks.
No, it's definitely going up.
We've got 7.
Make that 8, guys.
Well, we've got our house originally started as a TV show in our house. That's why it's called Our House. And we had like live bands and stuff. That YouTube's got like 950 something, like, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. We do always have this discussion with guests, just on occasion, don't we? Just to kind of, I think our YouTube, we were too early for YouTube, weren't we?
Yeah. When did you guys start? When did you guys start uploading?
So we were like 2007 or 8 when, and that was at a time where it was really difficult to get people to actually go on YouTube and watch. And also, you couldn't upload a video that was any more than, say, 10 or 15 minutes.
It had a 10-minute limit.
So we used to produce a show from the house. It was like a 45-minute show. And we had to host it on our own web servers. And, the web servers broke, didn't they, loads of times. Yeah. But the transition to YouTube just didn't really...
So you guys were really like the trailblazers in the YouTube. It kind of went me at the zoo and then Our House. Kind of like the first ever YouTube video, then Our House, just side by side.
We just missed the boat on monetization and that sort of
thing. It was but the thing was, it was good fun doing it, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was like a proper full-on production, wasn't it? I mean, it used to take... It used to take a year, didn't it, to get a series together?
Really,
from start to finish. Yeah, easily. Because we were our own cameras, editors, organising absolutely everything. And it was just like a TV show, a little bit like, TFI Friday, if you ever saw that from back in the day. And
Chris Evans.
The Word, that type. But it was just all based in a house, so ripped off from Big Breakfast.
What were you editing on?
Like that. I think we started on Premiere, didn't we? And then we went to Final Cut.
Yeah.
God, I mean, when did those kind of start becoming a thing? I mean,
they were expensive then, weren't they? As well, yeah. So I think in the first season we were editing on Premiere on a PC, and I think we also bought a Mac in between that with Final Cut Express, not Pro.
Yeah,
couldn't afford Pro back then. So we were doing and the thing was we were filming bands, and to get the camera angles, we would have to get the band to do the same song maybe 3 times. So we had 6 camera angles. And obviously they would have to try and remember what they were doing within this room. So it was guerrilla filmmaking or TV show making at its best. And because there's loads of shots in some of the things, isn't there, where you've got like a studio full of people, and then all of a sudden for a split second you'll see me in the background with the camera, and then I'll disappear in the next shot.
So we were there at the start of the YouTube kind of generation. We just
we just got old and didn't really do.
So we, so that was kind of like, that was our niche. And as you mentioned, you kind of have to experiment to find out what yours is, especially now that you can look at your analytics and find out what people do want to watch and what they don't want to watch. And you've got several brands as well. So at what point did you think, this is what people want to watch? Was there anything specific that stood out?
I started, the reason I first started making videos was because I was in radio. I was doing hospital radio and stuff like that. And I was coming towards the end of my university career. And I was obsessed with this idea about getting an agent. Because I thought that if you had an agent, you therefore were whatever you said you were, legitimized you being whatever you wanted to be. So I thought, if I can get an agent, then I can say I'm a presenter, I'm a radio presenter, I'm a TV presenter. And so I'd done all the radio stuff, and I'd kind of entered into awards, and I realized I wanted to get some footage for a TV reel, a show reel. And so there was a I was at Newcastle University, and there was a TV society at the university, and they were doing these night out interviews with people on a night out. And I remember applying, saying, can I be part of the group? And they were like, no, sorry, we've got our presenters, thanks. And I remember watching them and thinking they were 15 minutes long on YouTube. And I would find myself get quite bored after 3 minutes. And I thought, well, hold on, I feel like there is a real opportunity here, because there was 2 things. The filming students on a night out at a university town was not a new idea. And so when I first started with Street Smart, I do not want to claim in any way that it was a new and groundbreaking idea. But I just thought that the way that these things were being formulated, they were too long. The intro, for example, would be 60 seconds of the presenter saying who they were and where they're from. And I thought that I don't care about that. I want to see the funny stuff. So I thought, I swear this could be better if it was condensed into 3 minutes. And so I then looked into the legalities of filming, and they were like, yeah, it's a public place, go for it. So I first started putting the stuff on Facebook. And to go back to the question, Claire, is when did I realize people started watching it? I posted my first video, and it was outside a nightclub in Newcastle. And actually, a lot of the people in the video, my first ever video, were my housemates at the time, because I knew that they would come and talk to me on the night out. So I arranged myself to stand near their kind of sports social. And I edited it and posted it. And then there was loads of comments just tagging other people, not necessarily my housemates who were in the video, but people who maybe fancied my housemates or were in lectures with my housemates. And it'd be like, oh my God, look, it's that boy from geography. Or, oh my God, look, it's that guy you really fancy. So that's when I kind of realized, within the sphere of Newcastle, I'm completely not even thinking about putting this out to the wider world, or that anyone would really care. But I realized, hold on, there is this kind of need, especially in a university environment, to talk about somebody that you either fancy or you know or that your friends are constantly gossiping about. So that's where the first kind of growth from Street Smart came. It was purely like a gossip column, like what someone had said stupidly on a night out 2 days previously. And so I put all my stuff on Facebook initially, because that's where like I just found my kind of like quote unquote success. And I was getting a couple of hundred views on Facebook. And so I just kind of, for a year, I just churned them out. In the meantime, I was putting them also on YouTube. But that was when I realized, okay, well, maybe I can do this. Like maybe this is something that I'm relatively okay at. So I think kind of from the get-go, from when I was making Street Smart as it is now, I kind of realized, this is a format that people will like to watch and I can make quite quickly. But then obviously the channel has changed so much since then. And I've just kind of come up with new brands left, right and center. Just when I'm bored, I'm like, that'll do. So it's very much changed and formed over time what I've realized that people like to watch.
Yeah. I love Street Smart. So for anyone that
Fox Pop's classic.
For anyone that might not have seen it, just give them a brief overview, because I think it's brilliant.
So Street Smart is a series, a man on the street interview series, Vox Pops, in which I initially started standing outside nightclubs in Newcastle, a city very well known for its hedonistic lifestyle culture, nightlife culture. And so it's basically me standing on the street talking about a certain topic. So I'll talk about, I don't know, ghosts or tattoos or conspiracy theories. And they're 3 or 4 minute, very pithy, very silly Vox Pops that is just kind of like bubble gum for the brain. And I've then kind of grown it to go to now events. So I did one at Wimbledon. I did one at Henley, the rowing regatta in the summer. So they've slightly grown into something a little bit more structured than just kind of walking up to somebody who's had 10 VKs and asking them whether they think dreams are real. It's become a little bit more thought process behind it, but not much, if I'm brutally honest.
I remember watching one of them. I think it was the Wimbledon one, and I thought, how cool would this be? Like if Max took it to like a wrestling convention, or just an event, because wrestling fans, they're so passionate, aren't they? Yeah. Like you'd strike gold.
Yeah, God, if you can get me with any tickets into a wrestling convention, I am there.
And pretty much we can. I'm pretty sure we can sort some out.
We had YouTuber the boy John on, didn't we? And he wants to do he wants to train to be a wrestler for his show. So maybe we could integrate. So you could like.
This is how we're building new content for our new YouTube channel. So we think we're going to try and get him to do some training, don't we? Yeah. I was also thinking of maybe getting Robbie involved in that, and
Robbie will
get him to have a match or something.
And then you can kind of interview all of the very passionate fans at wrestlers.
I bet they are.
As we're all walking away. And leave you to it.
So Street Smart, I guess, then took you to a higher level, and like you said, you kind of adapted and introduced other brands. So another favourite of mine is Unconventional. So tell us a little bit about Unconventional.
Yeah, so I found myself doing these videos of Street Smart interviews, me on the street, and kind of the formula became very simple after I made 25. It was I say something, I ask simple question, I get silly answer in response, and then I give some sort of pithy one-line reply. And so I realized that it was just kind of once you'd watched 4 or 5 Street Smart videos, you'd watch them all. There wasn't that much to differentiate them all. And so then I wanted to kind of push myself and to go into longer form content. So Street Smart's are 3 or 4 minutes, but then I wanted to go into the 10 minutes and actually tell a story, because I didn't want to kind of go to an event and just make a 10-minute long Street Smart. So I wanted to change it up. So now having already taken the Vox Pop style, I then thought I'd take something else completely blatantly of just kind of going to weird conventions, which is exactly what I did. So I went to weird and wonderful places in the UK. So I went to the World Conquer Championships, the World Wife Carrying Championships, a metal detecting convention. And I just basically chatted and understood more about whatever the topic was. And the point of that wasn't to stand there and to be oh my God, look how weird these people are who love to go metal detecting. Because I thought that was an easy pot shot, and it wouldn't come across well. I didn't want to do that myself. No. I wanted to actually get involved and understand why these people did, why was someone standing in the rain for 7 hours with a metal detector? like in the freezing cold. Why is someone drawn to doing that? So the idea about Unconventional was just kind of getting involved. And I found literally with every single Unconventional I've done, I have left the convention absolutely loving whatever I've just been doing. So like I did drag. I went to a drag convention, was made into a drag queen, and absolutely loved that. I thought it was great fun.
That was cool.
And I'm still in touch with the people I met at that convention. So it was essentially just a free pass for me to go to weird things, but also film it. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, I think it's good, like you say, that you kind of got involved, because it could be quite easy to go to these things and, you know, laugh and, you know, take the mickey a little bit. And it's great that you went in there just to get involved and show that side of things. I saw the adult video, or the adult one that you did, the adult section.
That was kind of like that was me kind of like taking things up a notch, me going to the adult video network convention, which is in layman's terms a porn convention.
But it's like I mentioned Donna May earlier on. She's like our third highest podcast, and she's an adult superstar who I've known for many, many years. And I had these preconceptions of, you know, adult entertainment until I met her, and my opinion's completely changed. So would you say that happens to you when you go to these conventions? Your opinion is just kind of flipped from what you expected?
Yeah, your opinion is definitely flipped when you go to these conventions, but I have to say, actually not at the porn convention that I went to. It was really, I found it a really sad, not like a you're a loser, but a really just upsetting environment. No, I didn't find it a particularly empowering environment. I just felt very upset about what was kind of happening there. I think that the reason I went there is because I saw it was actually this time last year. Kind of, I'd always wanted to go to one of these because it was kind of like back in kind of 2010, YouTube, a guy called Kasim G used to do these vox pops in California, and I was a big fan of his. And he always used to go to AVN, and he would go for like 5 years in a row and would interview the same people, and then would kind of get this rapport. So this time last year, I was looking into when it was that for 2020. And found it was in literally 3 weeks' time. And I think I'd just done a brand deal, so I had a little bit of money in the kind of the video kitty. And so just bought like the cheapest flight to Las Vegas for 3 days to go and film this thing. Like, I didn't have a cameraman, I didn't have anything. So it was a bit like I was really pushing myself out of my comfort zone by flying to Vegas by myself, going to an adult video convention by myself with no one to film it. So I think I was already in the deep end anyway. And then to throw a topic that's quite it was quite kind of eye-opening was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure I remember you mentioning something on Jack's podcast about just feeling that there was like there was kind of an urgency, or the people changed their attitudes very quickly before you were, you know, between you filming and or before you filmed and then pressing record.
Yeah,
and they changed into completely different characters.
I met. Do you guys know who I mean by when I say Vitali? Vitali, he was kind of like he was like one of the first like big YouTube pranksters. And he was called Vitali ZHD, I think. And he kind of had a bit of a rise and fall on the YouTube platform because it all got too much too quickly. Anyway, he's now gone into the adult entertainment industry, and I saw him there, and like he's like made a lot of like YouTube headlines. Like he got someone to streak at the Champions League final a couple of years ago with his like logo on it. Anyway, this guy he's a bit of a character. Anyway, I saw him at this convention and I thought I've got to get an interview. So I walked up to him and I was like, "Hi Vitali, can I grab you for a quick interview?" And his first question was, "How many subscribers do you have?" Right. So that was his first question. Now, so I was wondering whether he was saying that because if I didn't have a certain amount of subscribers, then he wouldn't want to talk to me. So I said, I've got 110,000 subscribers. And I said, "Is that enough?" And he said, "Yeah, of course that's enough. Why are you asking me whether that's enough? Like, what are you talking about?" And then got really aggressive towards me. So I was immediately incredibly flustered. And then I have what can only be described as the biggest car crash of an interview. he was obviously on so much cocaine because his jaw was swinging.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Sorry, yes, he was allegedly on a lot of narcotics. Sorry, I do not want to be attacked by Charlie's lawyer. But yeah, he was allegedly on all these, on kind of all these substances, and he was so erratic. And this was another thing. We were about to film, so I'd asked him. He's like, "Yeah, let's do the interview now. We need to do it right now." But then he realised that he didn't have his entourage of girls around him, so he forcibly put his hand on the microphone, said, "Stop." So I stopped like the obedient dog that I am. And he literally called out across the hall, like random kind of women's names, and they flocked like the Avengers.
Oh my God.
Really?
And then flanked alongside him. And he was like, okay, now we can do the interview. And I mean, it was about a 30-second long interview, and I kept all of it in the video, and it's an utter car crash. But it kind of totally encapsulated my feeling at the time, which was just totally being overwhelmed and being a little bit upset.
Oh, so would you say that's kind of the worst position you've been put in, or have you had any?
Yeah, I think that's been like the most uncomfortable I've been for a video, especially when like I'd flown all the way to Vegas. I'd spent so much money on just getting there that I thought if I don't get a video out of this, it's going to be completely for nothing. So that was when I normally don't get anxiety or like nerves before making a video or interviewing people, but then I was really nervous because I thought I've got to come out of this hotel lobby with something. So let's just go for it.
And no sightings of Kasim anywhere?
No signs of Kasim. I was absolutely gutted. I think he's slightly gone off into the abyss, and I'm not sure what he's doing now. But no, I was desperate to see him. But do you guys know who I mean when I say Kasim G?
Yeah, I used to watch him. Did he also do the? Did he have something to do with that YouTube channel where they used to sit on the beach?
Yes, yeah, he did.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, that was him.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they used to do like little voiceovers for people walking past and stuff like that. Yeah.
But he was one of the first YouTubers in the sense of the word that we know it now that I remember watching. This probably was like 2011. So I mean, you were old hats by that point.
Yeah, we were. But we used to watch that. I mean, that's sort of like Ray William Johnson era, isn't it? And that type of thing. But we used to watch the stuff they did on the beach. That was really cool stuff.
And,
and I'm sure we reached out to him. Yeah.
So you did loads of unconventionals, and obviously, if that was your most awkward point, what was your highlight of the conventions? Which has been your favourite so far?
I really think it was the metal detecting convention, because that was the first one I filmed, and it was like it perfectly encapsulated what I wanted to come across in the video, which was, I want this to be an experience that I enjoy and that I can say that I enjoyed it, not just for the video. But I genuinely, they were so excited to have somebody who wasn't in the metal detecting world to come and talk about metal, or just to find out about metal detecting.
Yeah.
And so I was given these kind of like two chaperones who were these young lads who just loved metal detecting. I've never seen people passionate about anything in my whole life. And they just kind of took me under their wing. We spent 2 or 3 hours out in the field, and it was all the buzz was because the day previously, a couple of detectors had found a haul worth about £150,000 of old Roman.
That was the big bulldozer in the video, wasn't it?
Big bulldozer.
The end, yeah.
So there was a real sense of trepidation in the air that, hey, there could be some more. And so whenever I got a beep on the metal detector, I was absolutely buzzing. It turned out to be a nail or a shotgun or whatever, shotgun cartridge. Bloody hell, funny, a shotgun, that'd be interesting. But no, I didn't find anything of use, but it was such fun.
It had a sense of community that it really, like I watched that and thought probably a similar thing. Like I think I went into watching it as if, this is going to be full of like nerds and weirdos and stuff. Yeah. But then I thought, actually, I'd give that a crack at, like you were sort of bored and go and give it a try.
I learned something really interesting. Sorry, Claire. I learned something really interesting about coroners. So coroners are like the guys, they check whether a body is a body or something. They deal with kind of dead people, the coroners. But apparently their only other job is to do with the Treasure Act. Now, I didn't know this was a thing. There's an actual law called the Treasure Act, which is when they find something that seems to be worth a lot of money, the coroner will come down to the site and declare whether it is worth treasure or not. And if it is treasure, then it has all sorts of laws applied to it. And if it's not, then it's just, I think, a finding. But I love this idea that this woman or man will have to turn up and look in the ground and be like, yep, that's treasure. So it's such a small quirk of kind of English county councils.
And if you find it, is it yours?
So 50% goes to the landowner. 50%. Okay. And they didn't do anything. They just had it on their land.
Max was digging up the car park. Yeah, or not the car park, the main field.
I got a beep in the field, literally just outside. I was excited, and they told me I wasn't allowed to dig. And I was like, I'm still to this day think that there was a hole down there.
I know here's something maybe you could look into, because it's something that Paul got interested in, was magnet fishing.
Oh God!
So yeah, a bridge. That's
I went down a rabbit hole with that, didn't I? And I started to buy the kit, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do this," because the river near us it's just full of shopping trolleys, isn't it?
But you never know.
But yeah, I've seen some good finds on YouTube. You know, there's been some good stuff.
Yes,
guns and crime paraphernalia.
Just finding crime.
So yeah, have a look for some magnet fishers.
Yeah, that would be a great video. And it's someone who's relatively like into it. I mean, one thing that I am looking at the moment, I'm looking to find a bunch of nudists who will let me film a video of Unconventional, because I think nudists is my next kind of big port of call.
Do you feel like you could join in?
Well, I feel like I'm going to have to. I'm going to absolutely have to, which means that two things. One is that I'm definitely going to have to edit that video, number one. Number two, the more difficult thing is trying to find a cameraman that I trust.
Who's going to do it.
Oh, yeah, who will do it. So kind of, I've been calling around various people I know. It's like, how do you feel about nudity?
I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because I know we see you on camera. Is there someone behind the camera? Is there someone else that's a part of your success?
There is. I mean, it's changed over the years, but mainly it was a friend of mine called Coco, and she and I met at university, and she was the one who films probably 85% of all the videos, the street smart videos, whilst at university. And she was just a friend of mine that I did drama with at uni, and she's actually in when I first started making videos with Zach and Jay. She's in the video in which we gate crashed London Fashion Week, because like we were just there and she was hanging out. So she worked with me for about a year and a half on the street smart stuff, and then Zach and Jay actually offered her a job, so she now works for them. But yeah,
poached.
Yeah, she slightly got poached from it. But yeah, Zach and Jay are the kind of responsible for taking away my camerawoman Coco. But now I kind of use kind of all sorts. I like to use kind of students, like media students, because they're mainly the most keen to get involved. And like my filming doesn't require much expertise, rather than just kind of like pressing play. And so I'd much rather someone who's really keen to get involved and to get stuck in than somebody who kind of lets you down quite a lot. So now I just kind of have a bit of a roster of uni students.
Nice.
We had a uni student on our house doing our cameras. And
was it Robert?
No, everything he shot was out of focus.
It was.
Everything out of focus, wasn't it?
No, this guy,
the risk you run.
It is.
But I questioned him on it, and he just didn't see it. I was like, you need to get your eyes tested, dude. And we've actually got videos out there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which
we just call it look arty.
We just call it Ben Cam.
Name and shame.
So, yeah. But media students generally are like really up for it and stuff like that. So that's good. And I saw a video recently that I really want to talk to you about, and I think you used maybe a media student in that, or a friend, which was your Radio 1 video.
Yes.
So tell us, for someone that's maybe not seen that video, tell us about that and the inspiration behind it.
So I think the main thing that I like to talk about when I come, like people say, oh, what's your inspiration behind a certain video? My inspiration is honestly taking a video that already exists, or something that already exists, and changing it slightly for my purpose. And I feel like, on a slight tangent, people when they're starting YouTube get so wrapped up with trying to come up with the most unique idea that in fact isn't really necessary. You can take something that already exists and slightly tweak it. So that's actually where a lot of my video ideas come from. Like I just did one recently where I became an Amazon bestseller by using my friend's WhatsApp messages. And that came up because I watched a video of someone doing it with a blank book. So I thought, well, how can I change this? So the Radio 1 video was, I remembered, I was thinking of like crazy marketing viral stunts. And I remembered in the 2008 crash, this guy bought a billboard for 500 quid, which was like hiresam.co.uk or something like that. I remember it getting a lot of press, and he actually ended up getting a job. And so I thought, well, that was quite a while ago. No one probably remembers that. So can I kind of do that again in a new way? And so, well, where do I want to work? Well, I kind of want to do two things. I want to kind of do some stand-up at the Shepherd's Bush Empire and also work for Radio 1 in some capacity. So, well, let's just go for the Radio 1 thing. And I was like, well, what do I have at my disposal? I've got my car. And so that's where the idea came from. So then I literally just looked up a company that made the biggest stickers possible. I didn't even know whether it was going to work on my car or not. Luckily, when I got there, they're like, yeah, that's fine. That's no problem. And so that's the inspiration behind the video. And I just stuck my CV on my car and then parked it outside Radio 1 and just sat by it on the yellow line until the traffic warden came. But luckily, none did.
And so was the ultimate goal of the video to have the video go viral, or is it to get a job?
I think a little bit of both, actually. I think that if Radio 1 come to me, and I'd love to work at Radio 1, absolutely would love to. But if it meant me kind of foregoing all of my YouTube stuff, then I probably wouldn't do it, if that makes sense. So if they turned to me and said, like, be a producer full time, like, I probably won't do that because I won't be able to do my YouTube. So yeah, I'd absolutely love to work with them in some capacity. And I think that it just kind of struck a chord with kind of a community of people, especially right now, that are really looking to try and to get a job in some way. So the aim of the video wasn't to be like, I'm a YouTuber and I've spent all this money on kind of doing this and therefore I should get a job. It was to hopefully show just by putting a little bit of effort into something, you can gain the attention or get the attention of whoever you want to. I mean, has it worked? I mean, they've spoken to me a few times, but they've been very non-committal about the whole thing, which is either really good or really bad. So they're very much left me on red.
Yeah. See, Alex Hayden-Jones replied to you, didn't he?
He did.
So
yeah,
I was going to say, did you speak to him directly after that?
Yeah, I got a call from an unknown. It said caller ID withheld. So I thought, here we bloody go. This is always exciting. That's always exciting when you get that. So I kind of picked it up and he's like, "Hi, Matt, this is Alex Hayden-Jones." I was like, "Oh, okay, hello." And he was like, "Yeah, I really, really liked what you did." What he did tell me, I'm not really sure whether I'm supposed to be saying this, but oh well, he did say that a lot of people within the BBC didn't want him to send like the video out that he did, or they didn't want him to contact me because they said that it would encourage similar behavior. So he did tell me that and told me not to encourage people to do it. I was like, don't worry, Alid, I don't want anyone else taking the job, so I won't be doing that. But yeah, we had a chat for about 15 minutes. We spoke about what I was doing, what they wanted, what I wanted out of a Radio 1 job. Because he said, do you want to be a presenter on the air? And I was like, I mean, that would be amazing, but I know I'm not qualified enough to be able to do that. I know that I would be able to, however, do Vox Pops and make social content. So that's what I was really gunning for. And he said, great, well, as soon as stuff gets reopened again after post-COVID, then jump on in and we'll get you involved.
I thought he was going for Charlie Sloth's job.
Yeah,
I could hear that.
Yeah, fire in the booth, just with funny RP accent.
It'd be amazing, that. I think there's something there.
Well, fingers crossed, post-COVID then.
Yeah.
When things return to normal, something comes out of it.
I mean,
I can definitely.
I don't know. To be fair though, I'm happy because the video's done so well. So I'm kind of like, I've got what I wanted from it. If anything else comes out of it, that's an absolute bonus.
Yeah, it's a bonus, isn't it? We used to do a CV section on this show just when we were talking to, like, whether it was YouTubers or porn stars or whatever you want to. And we used to ask them certain questions because we both worked in recruitment, so. We were always interested in how would you describe what would you say in your personal profile on your CV?
Is that like about you? Is that when people kind of throw as many buzzwords into that as possible?
Oh yeah, that I hate.
But that's what people do, and that's the wrong thing to do. But yeah, if you were going to say Max Fosh personal profile, how do you think it would read?
So if I was going to go for the really cliche, like let's use all the buzzwords, I'd say Max Fosh is an energetic and
motivated,
energetic and motivated content creator based in West London. His desire for entertaining social content, there we go, that's a great one.
That's a good one.
His desire to create entertaining social content has shown him taken him to all different places. I think that's what I do. But what I'm actually trying to say is I'm just a bloke who likes to make silly videos.
That's honest. I like that.
Top 3 skills.
My top 3 skills. Oh God, I did actually put. I put that I was a scuba diver trained diver, which someone said, "Did you do that as a joke?" I was like, "No, I'm actually really proud of that." So that was on the CV that I gave to Radio 1. My top 3 skills are probably video editing is the main one. But I feel like kind of millennials and Gen Z is just this big army of video editors now. So I'm a video editor. What else can I do? I'm good with conflict. There you go. That's another part of me there.
Conflict management.
Conflict management and
like it.
Tenacious. There you go. Those weren't skills, were they?
I don't know. I've seen worse skills on a CV. Hobbies and interests outside of work.
Oh, cricket and musical theatre.
Oh,
excellent!
A very bizarre combo that rarely have mixed.
Maybe that's something that you can combine.
Yeah,
that would be.
Where would you go with that, Claire?
After I do my stand-up show, that I'm going to be writing a musical based on a cricket pitch.
Like I said, I wanted to talk to you about another video. And this was my introduction to you, Max. This was the first video I saw of yours, which made me then, go through everything else. So was your roundabout.
Oh, okay. Good. It's nice to we've got some a new subscriber to the channel. Okay.
Yeah, that was my first vision of Max Fosh, which took me down the Max Fosh
the rabbit
wormhole of the rabbit hole of everything, to become a fan of it. So. What made you do that?
Yeah, like Claire, it's just so simple. I was driving in a car. I saw a roundabout that was like, this has been sponsored by Paul McCarthy Plumbing. And I thought, how the hell do I get myself one of them? And just did a bit of digging. And they are so expensive. I mean, for those of you who haven't watched the video, a roundabout, like just your bog standard roundabout in a county miles from London, for a year, it costs about $3,500 to have your own little plaque put on there with your company logo. And I thought, I do not have that kind of money to spend essentially on a joke. And so that video got put on hold for ages because I just couldn't think of a way in which I could buy myself a roundabout without having to pay £3,500. And then someone gave us just a brilliant suggestion of why not I just talk to the parish councils, because they'll be just kind of like, they'll be really keen for cash. And so that's what I did. I just phoned up loads of parish councils. And this is a problem I find with most of my videos. I find myself having to kind of like give this pitch that makes it sound like as normal as possible when the idea is absolutely crackers. Like calling up a parish council in Gloucestershire and saying, "Hi guys, I would like to buy one of your roundabouts for £500. And then saying, but why? It's like, but don't ask that question. Are you going to give it to me or not? So yeah, I went to a parish council and I was like, I'll give you £500 if you let me, quote unquote, buy a roundabout. When in actual fact, they've just let me put a plaque in the ground on their roundabout. And so yeah, the lovely town of Siddington in Gloucestershire is the home of the Swings and Roundabout.
So you don't actually own the land,
no,
you just
Claire,
sponsor that little...
Why are you raining on the parade, Claire? Come on.
There's a plaque there.
Yeah.
All right, it's enough.
Well,
Have you got a plaque on a roundabout?
No, I've not, but I believe it keeps getting stolen.
It does. To be fair to Claire, there is actually nothing there to know that is a roundabout that has belonged to me. I mean, there's a number of things, Claire, that I kind of lied about in the video. One, yes, I don't technically own the roundabout. I sponsored it for a year. Secondly, it's not even even a roundabout. It is a verge for habitat, which basically means
it's like a triangle.
It's a little Toblerone piece of square in a junction. So it actually isn't a roundabout, and I don't actually own it, and my plaque keeps getting stolen. So there's a whole myriad of issues wrong with it. But hey, you can put anything in a YouTube title and people will buy it.
But you had an amazing opening ceremony, though, didn't you?
It was great. The opening ceremony, got the bunting. Oh yeah, we got the wavy.
The wavy dudes was the best.
The wavy dudes.
I liked that. Yeah.
That day was mental. I drove from London, right? So I drove from West London to Essex, which is east, and then to collect this kind of big wavy inflatable arm Boo Man thing. And the guy was asking, "What's this for, mate?" And I was like, "My roundabout." Okay, mate. That's totally normal. Have a good day. And so then went from there to the roundabout, and then went back to Essex to give back the rented inflatable man. So yeah, had a big old opening ceremony, and then that was about it.
You got a celebrity, didn't you?
I did. This is really awkward. So I found out that the roundabout that I bought was next to a house owned by Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen, the famous interior designer. Now, when I found this out, so we did the kind of quote unquote opening ceremony where we kind of like did a whole silly thing. I said, "Oh, I've now pronounced this roundabout open." Blah blah blah. This woman walks up to me and she goes, she just starts asking just questions about what I'm doing, and she goes, "Do you know who Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen is?" And honestly, if I'm honest, I didn't know who Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen is. I know subsequently that
I'm in that club.
Yeah, exactly. So I then said to her, "No, well, no." I lied to her. I was like, "Yeah, of course, yeah, I love Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen." And she said, "Well, that's my dad, and this is his house.
Wow.
Can he come out and say hello?" So in the meantime, when she went to go get her dad, I then fiercely Googled Laurence Llewelyn-Bowen filmography to find out everything I knew about him. And he came out and was kind of very kind of showbiz about the whole thing. He was wearing the most outrageous, like full leather jacket, trench coat vibes. And he just asked me what I was doing. And I was like, "I don't really know. What are you doing?" And we just had this kind of very bizarre kind of 3 or 4 minute interaction. And then I left. But it was a perfect example of kind of doing videos that suddenly have this whole extra element of something weird happening when you're doing it that you never possibly imagined.
Do you know, I have this vision of, with her saying, "Oh, can he come out and say hello?" I have this vision of him like peeking out the curtains and sending his daughter out and saying, go and find out if I can go out and say
I reckon it is like a little schoolboy. "Mummy, can I go play in the roundabout, please?"
Can I go out and see what this guy's doing? So yeah, that was a really good video. And like I say, it was kind of my introduction to you as well. Do you think that was a bit of a launching point for you? Because did you offer it to Will and E?
Yeah, I mean, I offered it to Will and E purely as a kind of a way to drive like growth. It was a little like I had the video, and it just happened to be that he was doing a whole series in which he was trading things, and so it suddenly lent itself to be part of that video. But I only really, if I'm honest, I did that because I thought, oh, this would be able to get him involved and he'll talk about it. So there'll be an opportunity for that new eyeballs. I mean, that it's such a blatant way of kind of like growth, like, "Hey, Will, watch this." But he did end up seeing it. But I think he's slightly like he hasn't completely like put that to one side, but he's definitely decided to take a break from this whole trading series. So I actually didn't get what I wanted from him, really. Actually, no, I did. He spoke about it in one of his second channel videos. But that was more kind of a way of kind of hopefully getting the video seen by a new audience. And I guess it's worked. If Claire, you watched it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it did great in its just kind of own right on the algorithm and with notifications and stuff like that, because it was something a little bit new and really never done before. So that helped massively.
Yeah. So Will, I think, said he was going to contact you and he didn't. But is there another interested buyer?
There is, yeah. So Will did contact me. He was like, "Yeah, great video, loved it. I'm kind of taking my time on the training video thing. So if you want to kind of do something with it in the meantime, go for it. Don't feel like you are committed to me." And then Jack Massey Welsh, who has a YouTube channel where he does some really bizarre stuff, which I absolutely love. But one of the things is he collects loads of YouTube plaques for 100,000 subscribers and million and 10 million. So the award plaque that you get given. He said that he'd love it. So I then made a video recently saying, would you like to buy it from me? The problem I've got is that I need to remember that I don't own it. So I can't just go out there and say, guys, here, who wants my roundabout? Take it. Because in actuality, the parish council will then message me like, what the hell are you doing? Stop now. And so I've got to be quite careful. So I'm working on something with Jack in which I can kind of give it to him for a bit and then we'll see.
Yeah. So Jack's got massive amount of followers. I think he's what, 100?
Tesla man, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on like 1.4 million subscribers. He's got about 8 channels. I mean, ranging from 1.4 million to about 150,000. So yeah,
and he can put a channel up, can he? With like literally, do not subscribe to this.
Yeah,
and people will just sub to it.
Yeah, he recently got a call from Mr. Beast. He said, Jack, there's a channel here that's got no videos. For every person who subscribes to it, I'll give you 1 cent. So getting 1 million subscribers would be $100,000. So he's managed to get the channel up to like 750,000 subscribers, which equates to 75 grand for him. I think he's kind of divvying out the money to various charities.
That's his new. I was going to say, I thought it was his new car bought.
Yeah, exactly.
His new Tesla.
So he's kind of a master of taking kind of various different channels and getting them to grow to big sizes with various like seemingly like zero videos.
So do you think there's a possibility of a crossover there between you and Jack?
Yeah, I mean, we have spoken about it a bit. Then again, I have to say, like, I can't say to him, you have it for the rest of the year. So I've got to be quite careful. I think what we'll do is I'll probably lease it to him for a month. So he'll have it for a month.
Yeah, why not? So we've talked about other YouTubers that you've potentially worked with. You went for a walk with Robbie. Are there any other crossovers that you have in mind, or are there any YouTubers that you want to collaborate with?
It's a great question. I don't. There's not one in particular that I'm like I would love. Well, there's loads of YouTubers that I love watching. I would love to be in a video with them, but I don't really have a video idea that would work for them. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of Yes Theory. I think they're absolutely great. There's an Australian YouTuber who posts like once every 3 or 4 months called Beau Miles. And I would recommend anybody to watch his stuff, like really great storytelling. He's called Beau Miles. So no, there's not one person in particular that I'd love to collaborate with, but I would just love the opportunity to work with YouTubers that I just enjoy watching because it's such a cool experience. Like doing the Happy Hour podcast was one of my coolest kind of YouTube experiences because I was a fan of the podcast. And so being able to sit in the studio and look around and be like, oh, that's the camera angle. That's the camera that films my shot. That was just such an awesome experience.
And how did that come about? Did you approach them or did they approach you?
The Happy Hour podcast came about because Jack had very kindly put me in. He had a second channel that made videos for about 3 months last year. And he put me in a video, I think, of like his top 5 small YouTubers under kind of 200,000 subscribers. And I think the boy John was also in there as well. And so I was in that video and I messaged him after that. Thank you so much for putting me in. He was like, yeah, no problem, man. We must get you on the podcast soon. Like that was a classic one of like, I didn't know whether he meant that or whether he was just being nice. And I think what did help was that Zach and Jay had been on the Happy Hour podcast previously. And so there was that association there and I've done a lot of work with them before. And I just got a message from Jack saying, do you want to come in? I was like, yes, please. I'm there. So yeah, it was a great opportunity.
And so how was the whole experience for you? Did you just turn up and enjoy it?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, because I'm such a big fan of it, like being in the chair and like seeing the camera that is used, being on the other side of it, basically, was just such a cool experience. And the studio itself is actually really small and it gets super hot. And so it was in like July as well. So it was height of summer. So we had to kind of constantly dip in and out for breaks. But yeah, it was just such a cool experience and like was much more kind of polished than I thought it was going to be. Like it did feel like you were kind of properly stepping into a kind of professional radio like station. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned the boy John there as one of Jack's shout-outs. So Robbie has his walks, and the boy John has Welly Wangling. So would you consider Welly Wangling with John?
I've already Welly Wangled with John.
Have you?
I have, yeah. And I did it outside.
Forgive me.
I did it outside. No, it's fine. I did it outside. I took him to a prison. I live quite close to a prison, and in London, it's the only place that's got loads of like greenery. So we wanged some wellies whilst looking out on Wormwood Scrubs prison.
Nice.
He won, unfortunately, which really upset me, because I kind of like to think of myself as quite a sporty person, but no, he wanged better than I did.
Rematch after lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So in terms of your channel then, we've discussed quite a lot about the creation of it and how it's progressed. Where do you see it going forward?
Oh God, I have no idea. I really have no. I don't think that YouTube is old enough for us to be able to have a good idea. Like, there's a part of me that wants to use it as a platform to springboard into the mainstream media, but then I'm thinking, hold on, like, there are very few mainstream media channels or shows that are getting the same numbers that YouTubers are getting. So why would you kind of seemingly upgrade for a smaller platform, other than there being this kind of still this like social kudos about TV show? But there's just something about like me saying to my parents, "Oh, mum and dad, I've got myself a TV show," than there is saying, "Oh, mum and dad, I got this many views last year." So weirdly, it's kind of this like social pressure that kind of is driving me towards mainstream, and also kind of nostalgia, like to be able to be on the telly that I watched as a kid would be such an awesome experience. Do you want to get? I really don't know. I am acutely aware, though, of kind of burnout in YouTubers. Like, it is something that I've both experienced and seen firsthand. So I want to be able to keep doing this for as long as possible without it becoming really detrimental to my mental health, really. Because as we spoke about, we jokingly spoke about it at the beginning of the podcast, like the way that numbers work, it sounds very stupid, but they are literally never ending. And the goalposts change for you all the time. Like, I used to think, right, when I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'll be happy because I would have proved to me myself to be a good YouTuber. I hit 10,000. I was happy for a day. Then it was 100,000. When I hit 100,000, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be feeling like I've done my job and I'm a proper YouTuber now. Hit 100,000? No, it needs to be 500,000. And from people I've spoken to, it doesn't change. It literally does not change depending on whether you've got 10 million subscribers or 10 subscribers. And so that is a part of YouTube that I'm acutely aware of and quite afraid of, actually.
Yeah, at least you're aware of it, though.
Yeah, but I don't think it makes it much better.
Yeah. But you mentioned earlier on stand-up comedy. Do you think that's a route that maybe you could...
Yeah, I was going to suggest maybe like there'd be elements of that you could introduce within a stand-up routine that potentially covers all bases, and you could potentially change a little bit of the way that some stand-ups done, isn't in a way, couldn't you?
I think, and that's definitely. I'm really. I've always wanted to do stand up, mainly because I'm a massive show off, and I want everyone to be looking at me. But also just kind of like the experiences that you have with stand up, like the opportunity to make people in a room that are in front of you laugh is. I feel like in the 15 stand up shows I've done, is so much more powerful than making a video that bangs or that does really well, because there's that instant reaction. And in my opinion, it's not being done enough by YouTubers, mainly because it is a really daunting task and it is scary. But in the UK, I know of very, very few social media creators who have branched out into stand-up. And it seems crazy because there is an audience there that I'm sure will be really interested to come and watch their favorites, like content creator live. So I'm hoping to make that quite normal. I've got a bit of a grand goal of kind of selling out the Shepherd's Bush Empire in 5 years' time. And that's a 1,500 seater. And I've seen some of my favorite bands play there. But I think that as I grow, I mean, Stephen and Will, when they did Stephen Tries and Will and E, when they did Twatty Live a couple of years ago, that was one of the places that they went. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the show. I would have loved to. But it is stand-up is something that when we're allowed to, I'm going to be going all guns blazing, going up and down the country, trying to go to as many venues as I can. Where are you guys based?
So we're in Manchester, and I wanted to go and see Will, but at the same time, it was a little bit like, for me, I was thinking, am I going to be like the oldest person?
Yeah. This is the thing. I don't know what my audience is going to be. I don't know whether it's going to be full of kind of like 10-year-olds.
You could completely repackage like everything that you've done, couldn't you, as part of stand-up, and just have endless material, as well as obviously go out and create new material. That'd be...
So I've been talking about that a lot with the kind of the producer of the show, these guys I went to school with, and they basically we've spent so long kind of deciding what it's going to be, because I know the people who are going to be coming to the shows want a little bit of the Max Fosh they see on YouTube. But then again, I don't want them leaving thinking, oh, that was just a video that he did on stage.
Yeah.
So it's been like finding that balance between like Max Fosh, the YouTuber, and then having stand up in its own entity. And what we've kind of settled on is something that's quite similar to kind of a Joe Lycett style thing. So you've got your big screen and you're telling a story, and I might be going behind this. Actually, I talk a lot about, there's a whole kind of 5 to 10 minute segment about the AVN Awards. So I've got kind of footage that didn't really quite make sense in the context of the video, but was great for stand up. So I've kind of I've repurposed that. So it's trying to navigate that the way that Max Fosh, the content creator, the YouTuber, comes across on stage.
Yeah. So one of the things that Paul and I did a while back was a bit of a bucket list, and on the bucket list was stand-up comedy.
Oh, yeah. So, how did that go?
So we've not done it yet. So my question to you really is, did you do anything in terms of training for it, or does it just come naturally to you? How did you go about?
I did a show like before. I didn't want my first ever time doing stand-up to be in front of people that I knew. So I went to a pub I literally typed in online like open mic night to London, and got a slot at this really dodgy place in Dalston in East London. And you were supposed to bring guests with you. Like that was the kind of vibe of the place. Like
pay to play.
Yeah, it really was a pay to play kind of vibe. I didn't bring anyone, and so I got like scowled out the door. But each person got 5 minutes, and then basically the whole audience was other performers. And I went up there, and I just wanted to just like pop my proverbial cherry on the comedy front just that night, because I thought, you know what? Once I've done it once and I've died on my arse, I will kind of it's done. I've got it over and done with. So I think I went up in there and spoke about material I'd literally written earlier that day. Like it was so off the cuff because I knew it was going to be bad. So I didn't really think, right, I'm going to really try here. Let's get it done. And it was a bit of it was crap. Like there was I've told the story before, but the guy who was just before me, was this enormous bloke who was wearing a puffer jacket hoodie inside and had been for about 2 hours. I thought, bloody hell, you must be boiling, mate. But he walked on stage. He was about 6'5", and he says, just if anybody wants to heckle, just know I'm carrying a knife. And it just caused everybody just to say, okay, okie dokie. I'm not sure whether this guy
sounds like a comedian from Manchester, really, doesn't it?
He's like, I'm not going to find out whether you are joking or not, but carry on. So yeah, that was the kind of vibe of the place at Dalston. So that was me popping my cherry, guys. Like it is fun to do. It is so much fun to do. So get it done.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think if one thing that lockdown's taught us is to just have a stab at different things, isn't it? Just have a laugh with it. It's nothing professional. Life. Yeah, just have a stab at it. If you could pick, obviously you mentioned Joe Lycett, and obviously I can imagine people like that you potentially you like. Mm. Who would you say in sort of the bigger area of comedy, who are your best stand-up performances in terms of live performances that you've watched? Whether it's something we all know because we've seen it on DVD or anything like that, or whether you've just personally witnessed it.
There are two. So I mean, my main kind of inspiration when it comes to comedy is a comedian called Bo Burnham. who is an American comedian, and he does a lot of like musical comedy. So I'm a big fan of musical comedy. So him, Tim Minchin, he's quite well known. I'm a big fan of. But one thing I do really remember about comedy that really made me want to kind of do it, just try it, was there is a place in London, and also there's one in Manchester as well, called the Comedy Store, which is like one of the most famous comedy clubs in the world. And on the night that I went, I think I went with my parents or something. It was like, we just didn't have anything to do. They had like special guest on the bill. And they do this when there's like a bigger comedian who's trying out new material for like a big tour. And so we had no idea who it was. But it was Russell Kane. And he came on, and I didn't really know much about. I knew that he was quite a famous comedian, but he came on, and he was so amazing. Like, he was better than it was a real eye opener to see the difference between kind of gigging comedian who is good at what he does and kind of like the next level. And so that really interested me. So watching him live was like, oh my God, okay, this is when it's been taken to the next level. But growing up, I was a big fan of Jack D as well. My mum loved Jack D. He was just, his dry sense of humor was great. So yeah, I think my like comedy icons are Bo Burnham, Jack D, and the Comedy Store players, who are kind of the improv group at the Comedy Store.
I really appreciate you coming on this evening.
No problem at all.
It's been a great insight, and I really enjoyed your company this evening. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to say to anyone listening now, other than to listen?
What would I like
within reason?
Within reason. Okay, if you do find yourself at a spare end in any given January, don't go to the Adult Video Network Awards in Las Vegas.
Okay.
That's what I would say to the lovely people of our house.
Actually, though, you made the most of it, because I saw you doing a Street Smart with all the drunk people in Vegas.
I've really thought, right, if I'm going to get one piece of content, I'm going to get two.
Yeah. And we've not mentioned that the one thing we were going to... Have you heard of Brian Harvey from E17?
Yes, I have heard of Brian Harvey from E17. That man, I saw him. Yes, so for the context, I was doing a video. I was doing a Street Smart video in Clapham Commons just after COVID, and everything that everyone had ever talked about, this is in July, was COVID. So I wanted to do a video in which literally I would talk about anything else. I saw this guy come from afar. He was in a bright orange wife-beater singlet. I thought, this is someone I want to talk to. And from the moment I asked the question, can I grab you for a quick interview, I thought, oh boy, here we go. And so he initially went straight into conspiracies, like, mate, we're not talking about anything about COVID related. Let's talk about anything else. Like, yeah. Do you know who Brian Harvey is from E17? I thought, this is a man that I want to talk to. And then weirdly, and then about 2 months later, I went to an anti-mask rally in London, and I saw him there again. I thought, oh, there he is.
Anyone out there listening to Our House, thank you so much. Make sure that you rate, review, do everything that you can to spread the word, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you, Max, for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Speak to you later.
We'll see you soon. Bye.